B-Max Audio Adventure. This is BJJ365. Today is October 2nd. But September blew past me.
Yeah, you spent the whole month of September out of the country.
I don't even know what happened. It took me a whole week to get... This is Lonnie Jones, by the way. Lonnie's here with me.
Hey, what's happening?
I'm very professional, as you can see. I like to just wang it, as we might say in Lawrence County, Alabama. We're going to wang it, see what happens. Yeah, it took me... So I was here last week, but I was totally out of rhythm and out of my schedule. Like, I might as well not have been here at all. I didn't do anything that I'm supposed to normally do last week. So I was like, well, I'm going to get up and get back on the grind. I have to do it starting Monday. So got the podcast done yesterday. Doing another one again today. Let's do it. How's your training been while I've been gone?
Well, I've been missing you, but I got to train with some different individuals while you were gone, and visited 10th Planet Huntsville, and then did a couple of privates with the SCAF and one with Jake.
Oh, you did one with Jake too?
Well, I was the only guy at class, so it turned into a private.
I
ripped him off.
What did you and SCAF work on?
This grip thing that he's obsessed with.
Yeah.
And then one thing about, he wouldn't call it a frame, but doing a lot of straight arm stuff.
Yeah.
And I used that against an opponent that had about 100 pounds on me and moved him all over the gym with it.
Isn't that crazy?
It was like magic, man.
SCAF's a magician. People don't realize yet because he hasn't been out on the competition scene that much in the last year or so. But
well, I felt like I was using the force.
Yeah.
You know, I turned to my side, got a what I would call a frame and a C clamp on a guy's upper arm, and when I moved forward, he moved away from me. I was like, Luke, I'm your father. You know, I mean, it was awesome.
You know that's not the line?
Yes.
That's not the line. It's, no, I am your father. That's part of that Mandela. You ever heard of the Mandela Effect?
Maybe.
Okay, so that's where you're a billion% convinced that something is one way, like some historical fact or some his shirt was that color, like, and everybody knows that that's what it is. But then it turns out it's not that, or it's different than the way you thought it was. But everybody's still convinced it was the other way. So, like, for example, that line right there from Star Wars, everybody's like, Luke, I am your father. That's not the line, though. The line is, no, I am your father. No, that can't be true, right?
Right.
And then there's another one in Star Wars.
They caught the
C-3PO has a silver leg. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You knew that he had a silver leg?
Because they broke it off when the little...
No, it was always silver.
When my people caught him, I thought the Jawas.
It was your people.
My people. When my people had him, the Jawas, not the Ewoks.
I think I got to turn your mic down a little bit.
All right.
I got you bumping a little too hard. Try it. Give it a little check there.
How about that?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. And the phrase, have your cake and eat it too, that's what caught the Unabomber.
What do you mean?
Because he used the phrase, you can't eat your cake and have it too. And they thought he did it wrong. But that's the original phrase. You can't eat your cake and have it too. And that's one of the linguistic signatures that he used that they identified who he was from his writings.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah, I think they called it forensic linguistics or something like that.
Dude, I love stuff like that.
Yeah. What's the movie Mindhunter? It's the story
it's a
of
Netflix show, right?
2 or 3 episode thing. Yeah, it's cool. It's how they catch Unabomber.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm thinking about a different one. I need to see that. There's maybe it's not called Mindhunter, but there's like a newer show on Netflix that's about this dude who interviews serial killers. But it's a drama, but it's based on the real transcripts of the
Now, this is a 3 or 4 part series,
profiler.
And it's just about catching Ted Kaczynski, I guess.
Yeah, that was the Unabomber.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about him, honestly. It's the kind of thing that I would get excited to learn about, but I never got into that.
You'd enjoy
one.
that.
Okay, I'll check that out. Mindhunter.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Type in Unabomber show, and something will come up.
Something will pop up.
Actually, maybe I shouldn't type that in.
No, probably not. You'll be on somebody's watch list again.
I'm on the watch list. There's no way. What are the things that, like, there's certain books I've always heard put you on the FBI watch list, like Mein Kampf?
The Anarchist Cookbook.
What is that?
That's a book about making bombs and booby traps.
Okay.
And how to make deadly stuff in your kitchen.
And I always heard The Catcher in the Rye for some reason.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I
Wow.
don't know. Like
The Bible.
put you on the watch list. Maybe. So, yeah, took me a while to get into my groove, but feeling better now. What is it like? Why you think discipline's like a muscle? That's what I think. What do you have like tips and tricks for exercising and strengthening your discipline, or do you think it's just like building good habits, or what?
Well, I think it comes down to an attitude thing. It's deciding between what you want most and what you want now. Part of that emotional intelligence that we talk about so often when I'm on here, it's delayed gratification and impulse control. And then when you decide to delay gratification and to control your impulses, now you're making decisions about self-regulation and choosing, okay, this would be easier today, but it's necessary today.
Rogan always talks about on his podcast, he'll talk about eating sugar. He'll be like, are you going to sacrifice your health for a couple of seconds of mouth pleasure?
Yeah, for real.
It's like, he's right, but I really like ice cream. You know, that's the hard part.
Well, I was reading an interview with Tommy Caldwell. He's a climber.
Okay.
He and a guy named Jorgensen free climbed the Dawn Wall on
what is that?
El Cap. Free climbing is when you climb and you don't use the rope to go up. The rope is only there to catch you if you fall.
Okay.
So that's what makes it a free climb. Free climbing uses ropes and protection. You just don't use the ropes to actually ascend. You use the ropes to catch you in case you fall.
Yeah, so there's no rest
Right.
then.
You don't hang on the rope. You don't load the, and
You're
so
going up a wall.
And so they free climb a 3,000-foot wall. Takes them 19 days.
Whoa! How would that? Wait a minute.
Yeah, they sleep on the wall. They hang on a portaledge up above the valley.
What?
He researched it, rappelled down, and mapped the route, and decided this is this is the path we have to take. And then they did all the stuff.
That stresses me out so bad.
Yeah. Well, the backstory is, he's this professional climber that his dad took him up Long's Peak when he was like 7. Now, they didn't climb Long's Peak, they hiked it. But he's been in the wilderness. Him and his dad and his sister would sleep in snow caves, and his dad would wake up and shovel out the entrance so they wouldn't get trapped. And he'd grab them and go, this is real adventure. And so he's climbing in, I think it's Kyrgyzstan. And these radical forces come in, take over the valley, and shoot at them while they're on the wall.
No way.
So they have to come down from the wall, and they capture them. And as they're being led to this place, Caldwell has to shove this guy off a cliff to save their party. He wrote a book called The Push. So he lives through this now, and this is a guy that wouldn't kill anybody, and he's done this to save him and 3 other people. Gets home to Colorado doing a do-it-yourself project and cuts his finger off in a table saw. So the doctor tells him, you're done as a pro climber. And so he gets this passion to climb the Dawn Wall, to do something that nobody said could be done. Nobody's ever even thought about free climbing. Now, a lot of people have climbed it, using aid and stuff like that. But,
nobody's ever done a free climb.
Nobody's ever freed it. And so and they've got a movie about it now called The Dawn Wall. But he does it with missing a finger. Most people couldn't do it with 10. He does it with 9, with probably 8.5 maybe. But it's or 9.5. He does it with not a full set of grips. And he says, the thing that I learned from my dad was that you prepare your children for the path. You do not prepare the path for your children.
Mm-hmm.
And that's discipline. I think it ties into what you ask. Are you preparing yourself for the path? Or are you wanting the path to prepare itself for you? I think that's pretty cool.
I learned something from Dave Ramsey. Not personally. I don't know Dave Ramsey personally, but just from some of his books. He's a financial advisor. Who Dave Ramsey is, but some of the listeners may not. But he encourages you to get rid of all your debt as early as possible. Don't acquire any debt, just real big on budgeting, just good sound financial fundamentals advice. And we're lucky enough to come across him early, even before we got married. Hey guys, you should read this book. You're getting married. This will help you later in life. And so we got into that, But one of the things that he says is you have to live like no one else now so that you can live like no one else later. right? And he's talking about debt,
Right, money, yeah.
But that little small lesson that I learned through, finances, through personal finance, has extended into all other areas of my life. And it's been such an important isn't it amazing how just one little turn of phrase sometimes can really change somebody's life?
The SWAT version of that is, we do what you want so we can continue to do what you can't, which is about their PT and their training. And maybe SWAT didn't invent it. That's where I read it. But, it's probably ubiquitous to anybody that's extremely disciplined, whether it's a professional athlete or professional soldier or whatever.
I feel like that's probably the key to having anything, though, isn't it? Like, I want to play the guitar. Well, then I have to be willing to do what no one else is willing to do today, so that I can have what no one else has later,
And that's true. And you pay up front.
It's an investment.
You put in your dividends and you wait for the payoff.
Yeah. And eventually when the payoff starts to come, it snowballs.
And I heard a guy, Matt Evans, out of Dalton, Georgia, talks about not quitting. He's got a series of lessons called I'm Not a Quitter. And he talks about you start everything with a promise. And then you run in from the promise, you run into the problem. If you run into problems, you want to quit.
Yeah. That's the easy path.
But if you don't quit, you end up with the payoff. And he says the payoff, and I believe the word he uses is deep pleasure or deep satisfaction. And then he describes the two things as, you can have a candy bar or a chocolate mousse that it took you 2 hours to make and put in the freezer. Mm-hmm. You can spend every Friday at the movies or spend every Friday in a graduate class. Or you can have, a dozen first kisses, or you can have a kiss goodnight when you've been married 43 years.
Yeah.
And so I think you're talking about, what does it take to let people realize that my goal is deep satisfaction and deep pleasure rather than a superficial sugar rush, mouth pleasure, whatever the deal is.
Yeah. I think maybe people just don't find something that motivates them to seek that. You know what I mean? Like, to seek that kind of discipline. I don't know, do you feel like some people are just built to be disciplined? I think that's partially part of your personality.
Yeah, I
right?
think some people are obsessive. Yeah. I think people
that's definitely, I always tell people that's my only talent, is I can obsess like nobody else. I'm not actually good at anything. I can just
No.
pay attention longer than you can.
I've described you to people and said, Brandon's the type of guy, you give him a guitar and in 6 months he cuts an album. So whatever it is that you get your teeth into. But I think it's that people think about the outcome to make them motivated rather than the transformation that makes them motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you set your mind on, regardless if I ever win a championship or have a belt or get invited to Abu Dhabi, the process of becoming a jiu-jitsu player, my cardio, my confidence, my strength. You did something in class last night, leverage, balance,
weight distribution.
And weight distribution. And I was going to ask you, and we're on the air, so I'll ask you now.
Yeah.
Would you put all those under the one umbrella of posture? The 3 foundational truths of posture. Balance,
Maybe. I would
levers,
have to think
and weight
about it
distribution.
More. I would have to think about it more, because I normally think about posture being derived from those things, posture being a byproduct of those 3
right,
things.
so those are the 3 things that are the foundational elements of posture.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about it, how I want to organize it in my mind. But yeah, posture might be the only thing that matters, but those 3 things are the only thing. Anyway.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
I don't know.
But so when you think about that, I'm learning this sport that I may never compete with or may never have to use it in a self-defense situation. If I've mastered leverage, balance, and weight distribution, it affects everything else I do in my life.
For sure. Especially everything physical.
Yes.
But even the way I walk through Walmart with my head a little higher, or Walmart, whatever, through the parking lot.
My head's the same level all day, 5'4".
Well, but like physically, mine is not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my posture is different than it used to be as a man.
Yeah.
And that causes me to see the world from a different angle.
Well, what's that book, Moving with the Grace of a Supple Leopard or whatever?
Yeah, this is it right here. It's on my desk.
You
How to
can
become a supple leopard.
You can tell apex predator. I'm not talking evil, nasty predator, like, psychopath. But you tell a predator when he walks into a room, a guy who's really, really tough, doesn't have to have swagger, doesn't have to wear chains and leather. He walk in, and flip-flops and a unicorn T-shirt, and you go, I probably think about putting my hands on that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the self-confidence that comes with discipline and being a disciplined person.
Yeah, and that's the only, like, that you can smell that on somebody when they walk in. Like, Scaff always makes fun of me because I tell him I can smell weakness. But I really believe I can physically smell weakness on people when they come in.
And the truth of the matter is, if you take all the dangerous personalities, Tony Sicario, maybe, a guy who's FBI guy, wrote a book on dangerous personalities. And he takes all the flavors and puts them in 3 categories. You have your narcissist, your emotionally unstable, which is, bipolar, histrionic, all those.
Okay. What is histrionic?
Histrionic is a person who seeks attention all the time.
Oh,
wants to be the center. No, you've got a balance on it. You're gregarious, not histrionic.
Okay. What is gregarious? Is that good?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I like that one.
You never meet a stranger.
True.
And your magic is that it's not that everybody likes you, is that everybody believes you like them.
I do like them.
Yeah, love them.
That's what I assume coming in, is that you're the best. Like, oh, it's my first time meeting you. I assume. Can I get burned like this sometimes? But I assume that you have the best of intentions for both of us.
But anybody who meets you and works out with you walks away not with, hey, I like Brandon, but they feel like, well, Brandon likes me. And that's a genuineness. That's being gregarious, I think. Okay. But anyway, so you have your narcissist, you have your emotionally unstable or your emotionally unbalanced, and then you have a predator. And predators don't care.
They're sociopath.
Yeah, and they are going to exploit you some way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and they're the people who want what they can get from other people. And they can smell weakness. They are geniuses at reading people and reading body language and picking their victims.
And knowing how to present their own body language in a false subservience.
And it's not something they cultivate. They're born with it. Sure as the jaguar in the jungle is born with it, these guys come from the factory with the ability to exploit.
Which raises to me a really important, like, nature-nurture debate. Like, man, you're born a little bit, and I almost don't want to say broken, but you're born a little bit broken. How much of what happens to you or that you do to others do we want to put a gun to your head for? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I get torn on that sometimes because I fully 100% believe that every single person, regardless of their condition, is responsible for their own actions. And in most ways, maybe you can't control the things that happen to you, but you can definitely control the way you react to them. But at the same time, I also deeply 100% believe that sometimes it's not your fault.
Well, I'm writing a book. A guy said, if you just write a book that says, Lonnie Jones talks about mental health for the church. And so I'm writing, it's a Christian-based book.
Sure.
But the assumption is that when we talk about behavior and relationships, at least in the New Testament, we're talking about the bell curve. We're talking about normal people.
Sure.
If you get somebody who truly is damage to the corpus callosum, born, paranoid schizophrenic, if you're not responsible for that condition, you're not going to be held accountable. Mm-hmm. At least not on what I would call an eternal level. Now, that doesn't give you a pass, but I think in some cases we superimpose the idea that, yeah, you chose to act this way, and sometimes he didn't.
Yeah.
Now, if you get somebody who has that potential and they've got any self-insight, understand my own emotions, delay gratification, impulse control, and motivation, then you can ask them the question, do you like the results you're getting? If not, then your initial response is always wrong. Go down a couple of steps. Mm-hmm. And those people may not legitimately change, but they can modify their responses to life. But folks who choose not to change, those are your predators.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Or they're never exposed to the idea that they can change.
Yes. And the victim culture that we have, and this is not your fault, and don't worry about it. If you're responsible, you're accountable. if you're not responsible, you're not accountable. And you have to have enough self-insight to be honest and go, well, I'm not going to let my past dictate how I respond to things.
But some people, I think, just don't have that ability to I don't want to say not like they don't have the ability to change. They just don't have the ability to hear that for the first time, And like some people are, like LeBron James was born with certain things about him that are just different than me and you. And he was going to be a certain type of thing. And obviously he added the discipline and he added the hard work, and I get that. He's very disciplined, very smart, but he's also a 6'8" super athlete.
Right.
But I'm disciplined and smart, but I'm not going to be LeBron James.
But he could have been a 6'8" super assassin. He could have been a 6'8" mercenary.
Sure.
He could have been a 6'8" enforcer.
Well, I say that to say, if we accept the idea that we are born different physically, you're born to do certain things.
Now.
I'm born to do certain things. LeBron James is born to do certain things. Carl Lewis was born to do things in a different way than all of us, And we accept that. We go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. People are different. Look at us. It's easy to see. But if we can have that much variance in our physical body, how much in our built-in emotional wiring or our built-in psychology, I would think that it varies that much as well.
And so learning to say, hey, my initial response to a perceived threat, my initial response to feeling ostracized, my initial response, you'll find out that the kids who are bullies and the kids who are bullied have an interpretation error based on how they respond to other people.
What do you mean?
Okay, so you take a bully, a guy who's overtly aggressive, and you show him a film of two kids walking down the hall and one bumps into the other and knocks his books down, and then the kid throws a punch and hits the other guy. The kids who are bullies will go, that was a justifiable response because that kid meant to knock his books out.
Oh, I see what
Where
you're saying.
a normal, quote-unquote, normal kid would go, that was an accident. There wasn't anything aggressive there. And some of that comes from nurture and some of it comes from nature. So, what is it Courtney Armstrong says, if you're walking through the woods and a bear steps out and your body has this reaction to the bear, you're doing what you're supposed to. But what if the bear lived at your house? Then you get trained from a very early age that everything is a threat, everything's aggression, and you either deal with it with timidity or with force. And your behavior becomes adaptive on probably a non-linguistic or a non-verbal level.
It's totally subconscious.
You don't non-conscious, not even subconscious. You just don't know where it came from. That's the way you're wired.
Yeah.
And when people go, that's just the way I am, what they mean is, I always act this way and I don't understand why.
Yeah, that is what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I mean when I say it.
And so the insight of, do you enjoy the results of those responses or not? And then we reach the point and say, every time I get in this situation, I react this way, and it never turns out good. Or be honest with yourself and go, I create a lot of drama, but in the end, I get what I want, or it's fun, or it's easy, or whatever. Then it goes all the way back to delayed gratification, impulse control, and your sense of motivation. What am I getting out of this? And am I taking the easy path or the disciplined path?
So where jiu-jitsu, I believe, has 3 pillars: balance, weight distribution, and leverage, you're purporting the idea that discipline has 3 pillars. What were they? Delayed gratification?
Self-insight, understanding who you are.
Okay.
And based on how I respond to my emotions, it's delayed gratification and impulse control. That leads to motivation, willing to do the hard work that's necessary.
Awesome.
And the fourth side of that, or I guess it's the fourth side, is can I recognize those emotional signals in other people and respond to them? And that separates the sociopaths and the rest of us. Because I can look at you and see fear or hurt or anger or sadness and respond to you the way I would want to be responded to.
Empathy.
Yeah, basically empathy, yeah.
Cool. That was 25 minutes. We got to cut it.
Yeah, we need to hush. It's so much fun to talk to you.
I love talking to you, and I never even talking about jiu-jitsu very much, which is
we talked about jiu-jitsu, balance, weight distribution, and leverage.
A little bit. We got to talk about toe hold, though. Don't you want some of them sweet toe hold flip-flops?
I want some for my son-in-law.
Well, see, you know what you need to do is you get on Instagram and screenshot this podcast, and then tag myself and toe hold, TOE_HOLD, and then share it on your Instagram story, boom, you're entered to win a free pair. Or if you wanted to, you could just slide into his direct messages, just send him a little DM and say, hey, heard about it on the podcast, discount for my listeners. So those of you that want to get yourselves a fine pair of flip-flops, those are the two paths. You can try the lottery route or you can try the discount code route.
Well, I almost sent you a picture today. I saw it on Facebook. It shows the Rambo knife.
Yeah.
And it says weapons. It says Rambo shows the knife. Chuck Norris, and it shows this, I don't know, a Galil or some kind of special machine gun. And then it says your mom, and it shows a flip-flop. So I thought about toe hole today. I said, hey, every mom needs a good pair of toe hole because of the heavy-duty sandals.
Listen, man, if my mom would have had these all leather ones right here, somebody would have died.
You'd have been a different kid.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have been a kid for very long. I'd have had to grow up fast or die. Those things are serious.
Well, thanks for letting me come in again today.
You're the man. All right, that's it, guys. See you next time.